Izzat Salihuddin is another fine example of a successful young corporate leader who also finds passion in building success beyond his professional corporate role. A special award recipient at the recent Sime Darby Unsung Hero ceremony, by day, Izzat is a manager in Sime Darby Properties Berhad. In his spare time, among others, he is the technical director of the Selangor State Women's Football Team. A naturally gifted sportsman in his own right, Izzat is one of those young professionals who find true work-life balance by injecting energy and passion in their professional careers at the workplace and doing the same in their extracurricular activities. This includes being a responsible husband and father to a young family. Let's watch, listen and be inspired by Izzat's stories, which will hopefully spur you on to also excel in all that you do. Izzat Salihuddin, what's your why? Assalamualaikum, salam sejahtera everyone. Welcome to this next episode of Cuba Cerita. You know, it's amazing the responses that we receive from our audience, the encouragements, and we continue to be pleasantly surprised by the guests that we invite onto the show. Recently, we have been breaking new boundaries, interviewing those who are maybe different from the normal type of guests that we have. And today, we are hosting another guest who brings a different dimension to those young corporate leaders. And the reason why we wanted to interview him and invite him onto the show, thanks so much, is that we wanted to portray how young leaders today are multi-skilled, are disciplined in what they do, and yet they are able to exert as much passion and energy in whatever they do. So please join me in welcoming Saudara Izzat Salihuddin. Apa khabar, Izzat?
Alhamdulillah, I'm good, and thank you for having me. Honored to be here actually. I don't know what I did to deserve to be interviewed, but I'm happy to share because I love when the Cuba Cerita podcast, I've been listening to it, so it's great.
Thank you for your support. And you know, this is the beauty about what we do, because each and every episode we discover new things. As everyone knows, there's no script, and we try to spend maybe about 45 minutes to an hour to really just to get to know you as a person.
Sure. So
please feel free to share whatever. And you know, it just so happens that we know a bit about your background. You know, you're local, but your parents of a mixture, Kelantan and Kedah. Tell us a bit more about your formative years, and maybe one or two pointers, if I may ask. What can you reflect on your parents' upbringing of you?
Okay. So basically, right now I'm a father to a 6-year-old son, and I'm the elder siblings of 4, and of course both of my parents. My mom is a basically a training consultant, and my dad is in corporate, retired. I think now he's serving as board members in 1 or 2 companies. And I started my school years. I grew up in Shah Alam, but I had a brief primary school years in Rawang, SK Taman Desa. And I think I loved that place until now. I still have affection towards that place because I think that's where I grew up, and it was so multi-racial, multi-diverse. In fact, when I try to recall the name of my friends in SK Taman Desa, I think I can recall more of my Indian and Chinese friends,
really?
Malay friends. Yeah, but I had a lovely time there. That's where I actually grew up a lot with my brothers. And then I think when I was 12, we moved back to Shah Alam. And then my high school was in Kelantan. I was in boarding school. Sekolah Menengah Sains Tengku Muhammad Faris Petra. Panjang nama. And that was another episode as well, because I think when I was about, so I finished my UPSR in Shah Alam, and then I received an offer quite late to join the boarding school, and I was already in Sekolah Menengah Section 7. And then I actually was very comfortable there. I made a lot of friends, you know, nearby your home, and after school you can go back home, watch TV and stuff. And now you're going to a boarding school. But my dad forced it on me. To be honest, I wasn't happy at that time. I wasn't really happy.
And you're the eldest, right?
I was the eldest. And then I was really homesick in my first year. Of course, there were some bullying cases, and I'm not trying to paint a bad picture about the school, but I think this is a common actually problem in boarding schools. And then in my first year in that boarding school, I tried so many ways to get out from the school. But my dad actually, he was really hard on me, and he said, no, you're staying until finish. And I kind of accepted that, okay, I can't beat him, right? I'm not going out from the school, so might as well I start to adapt. So I think as I was in Form 2, and I wasn't exactly a model student, and it's not something that I'm proud of. I'm actually ashamed of it. I think I also would like to actually, if I can, take the opportunity to say I'm sorry to all the teachers back then. I know I've been such a problem. But I think it was also because I was very curious. I wanted to explore. I was very adventurous. So I don't like being confined. I don't like following things for no reason. I've always asked, why do we have to go to prep petang if I don't have homework? Why can't I go out and play football? Why can't I go out and I don't understand the confinement. So that's why I was quite rebellious. And also at the same time, when I was in that school, in my batch, I think there were only 3 students, including me. No, actually 4. That was from KL or Selangor. Most of the students there are from Kelantan. So the ability to also speak Kelantan is also something where you want to adapt, you want to make friends. I think that's important. So I think it took me a while to actually get the language right, the accent right, and then I think it was the best decision ever that my dad did to actually force me to be in boarding school, because I think that's where I really learned about how do I. It's not just about how do I adapt. I think this is the common lessons about going in boarding school, right? You be independent, you learn discipline. But I think what I learned most is that because I was surrounded by I would say students who doesn't come from a wealthy family background. These are students under scholarships. And I got to learn their upbringing. I got to mingle with them, and it kind of gave me a picture of how much your family upbringing shapes your personality, shapes your thinking. Because in high school, I always try to come up with all these ideas how to make high school interesting. So I actually wrote a letter to Penolong Kanan Curriculum. I said I want to do a football competition. I'll get sponsors. So we organized our own football competition. And then there was one time that the Penolong Kanan said, okay, no more competition. So we did competition haram. I just go bulldoze it. And then there was one time, I think I was in Form 4. I was a school prefect, and this is a funny thing. This is a true story. The principal actually said, because I actually asked, I was such a problematic student. Why was I being appointed as a prefect? And then the principal actually said, it was actually to control you. So it was never about my discipline. It was never about my leadership. It was a mean to control. But that was interesting because so he gave it as a tool to control, to basically shape me.
And you knew of this later years?
Yeah, later years.
Oh.
At that time, I felt it was an insult. And then and that's when during Form 4, and then when I was in Form 4, the prefect's body they tried to organize a trip and they wanted to do lawatan sambil belajar to Cameron Highlands.
Okay.
And I said, lawatan sambil belajar? Are you kidding? We would never belajar anything from this lawatan except for spending time outside of school. So one of the prefects actually asked me like, okay, what's your idea? And I said, let's climb Mount Kinabalu. We will be the first batch to climb the highest mountain in Southeast Asia. And everybody's like, we don't have the money for it, right? And I said, okay, let's plan this. So that time I think it was somewhere early of the year, and we said, okay, let's target to climb Mount Kinabalu in August. So let's sell buns, sell food, raise money. So what we did was we worked with the teachers to send a sponsorship letter asking, requesting for a sponsorship to 99 big companies, McDonald's, KFC, Pizza Hut, all these companies. So we've gathered around, I think it was somewhere around 30,000. We actually achieved the target of 30,000. However, because we got it quite late to the date where we targeted to fly, so the flight ticket price gone up. So everybody was disappointed because they worked so hard to raise the money. And they all looked down and said, so what's next? And I said, if we cannot climb Mount Kinabalu, let's climb Mount Tahan.
Gunung Tahan?
Yeah, Gunung Tahan.
Which is actually maybe more difficult, actually.
People say it's more difficult, but it's not as high as Kinabalu. But yeah, people say it's more difficult. So we actually did. So we spent about half of that money for Gunung Tahan. We actually, I asked my dad, can you recommend someone who experienced to climb Gunung Tahan, train us and share with us the knowledge, because I got prefects who are girls who are so soft and say, I'm not used to hiking, right? And that girl ended up crying from all the way to the top. She actually climbed to the top, but she cried. That was a funny one. And we spent half of that money we raised. Some we gave it to charity, and we also held our probably biggest annual dinner for the prefects.
So I can imagine that conversations like this bring back those type of memories.
Yeah.
But it sounds to me that you are quite the dogged and determined type from a young age, kan? I mean, not wanting to embarrass you, but these are realities, kan? So I understand you studied in the UK. You were in Manchester. Was it Manchester U or was it?
It was Manchester Metropolitan University.
Okay.
I went for a scholarship interview, but I think I was told that I came from a family that can afford it. So there was an opportunity where they said we can probably get you a scholarship with some personal help. But then my dad said, jangan ambil hak orang.
Jangan ambil hak orang.
Scholarship is meant for the poor.
Yeah.
I can send you. I'll send you.
Wow.
So he sent me because he actually brought me to Manchester when I was 15. Actually, just to show me around Manchester, to inspire me, to motivate me. Say, you want to study here, you study hard.
Wow. So
that actually has been my main motivation. But the main reason is not actually the university. It was Manchester United.
Smart man.
It was all because of football. Yeah, it was all because of football. But I mean, I had the opportunity. So and thanks to my dad a lot for this. He sacrificed a lot for this.
So he's not a Man U fan, lah, kan?
He was.
Dia belot.
Then he switched to Chelsea. I don't know for what reason. And then so what happened, I went to into Manchester College. Got basically a tuition fee scholarship, but my dad has to pay for the basically the rentals. And my first year, it was full of international students, so I get to learn and learn all kinds of different people from all over the world. There were people from China, Korea, Nigeria, and I get to learn some of their cultures because they shared to me. Sometimes they cooked, and they were considerate enough to cook Muslim-friendly food. And I think that opened up my perspective because when I was in Malaysia, I was told a lot of things about how we should protect the races, certain things. And then when I went to the UK, I was a minority, right? We are not the majority, unlike in Malaysia. And I don't feel like a minority. I don't feel like anybody has been racist to me, and I don't feel that. I think everybody can be kind. I think, and we are more similar with other people in other country than we thought of. Yes, culture differentiates us, but I think personality-wise, we are not so different. After all, we are humans, right? And then when I went, but during my first year, something really bad happened personally to me, and I went, and I know that I went into depression because I was hospitalized for it as well.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, it affected me quite bad. So my dream was to get into University of Manchester. That's the university. But then, because of that depression, I think it affected me because I was doing well in my grades, but then it slumps. So after I managed to get out from that depression, I couldn't get into the University of Manchester, but I have the option to choose Manchester Metropolitan University. Luckily, it has got a good business school, so I said, okay, that's the best I can do. So Manchester Metropolitan University ni, some people would say dia macam polytechnic in Manchester. Although maybe some people who are alumni probably would be upset if I say that, but I think most generalization is like that. It's still a good school,
but still a good uni.
Still a good uni. So I went with it. But one thing as well that was tough in my time in Manchester because my dad gave actually barely enough money for me to pay rent and internet bills. I never wanted to ask my dad because I know how much he's already spent. So I decided to spend more time trying to earn money. So I tried cleaning universities. That actually got me so bored. So what I did, I learned how to play guitar. I went busking. I went to the bars and perform. I actually learned how to cook nasi lemak, nasi goreng, nasi tomato and all, and I sell it.
Wow.
So, and also I tried to do some projects. I learned how to make videos. I learned how to edit photos, take some jobs. So I do all these odd jobs just to have some money so that I can fly off to Barcelona in summer with my friends.
But you really had to buckle down and really earn lah kan? I mean, apart from your classes.
My friends, if you look at my picture back in my university years, I was so thin because there were days that I only eat once a day and I only eat Maggi.
I hope your parents didn't know that.
I know my parents will be watching this, but I don't want them to feel bad because I think I survived anyway, right? I survived and I enjoyed it because I enjoyed working because I think I enjoyed experiencing life rather than sit in a classroom. So that's why I go and explore, and especially when I go basking or performing in restaurants or clubs or pubs, I learn so many things about people. It was really an eye-opening experience. I think my time in Manchester was probably the most humbling time. And also the time when I actually got to know my wife.
I see.
So
Alhamdulillah. Jodoh dah ke sana kan?
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is the interesting part, which I think we do know, and it resonates with a lot of the overseas graduates, that those were the formative years that we don't talk about every day, but only in sessions where we reflect on on these occasions. It actually draws out what is it that actually helped shape you to become, alhamdulillah, who you are today. And I know we're going to come to it, but one of the things I found out about you is that you obviously are determined in whatever you do, but you also find time to do a lot of other things while your core focus for today, for example, is your job, your corporate role. So tell us a bit more. So returning to Malaysia, were you constantly looking for something that would invigorate you rather than just going into any job or employment opportunity?
Okay. Well, right now I'm a partnership manager in Simon W Property. I'm actually coming into my second year. Second year. So previously, I had a stint at MBSB Bank as a corporate strategist. Before that, I was in Quab as an events officer as well as a special officer to the CEO. My first job was in MDAC. And then, so I had a few experiences, diverse roles, various roles. But right now, as a partnership manager in Sanabi Property, so what I do is basically I work with businesses or NGOs or any entities, trying to find a win-win partnership to basically multiply value to our customers, because I think collaboration is the thing nowadays, right? It's partnership rather than competition. So that's what we do. But on the side, basically I pursue a passion project. But the funny thing is this passion project actually started by my brother, my third brother. So I actually run a football club of my own. It's called FC SWAT. SWAT, SWAT stands for Soccer with Attitude. And then right now as well, Alhamdulillah, since 2022, but this year I'm officially the project director for Selangor FC Women's Football team.
Wow.
Yeah, which our first match will be on Saturday, 6th of July.
This coming weekend.
This coming weekend.
Nice.
So I've been involved with Selangor FC Women since 2022. I was the assistant manager back then. In 2023, I decided to get involved unofficially because of commitment to work. I couldn't commit full time. But right now, I'm still running it part time. But I think my role as a project director is more of providing high level strategy and direction, advising the CEO of what should be the next level strategy. The aim for Selangor FC was to try to level up the women's football industry. It's not just about the club,
but the industry as a whole.
The industry as a whole. How can we develop more women's coaches? How can we develop more women's footballers? How can we develop more women officials, physios? Basically, we want to grow because I think globally women's football is growing and gaining attention. So how do we play a role in that growth? It will grow, and we should be taking opportunity and advantage right now.
So I know that you are an avid footballer.
Yeah.
In fact, from what I understand of our conversations, you're quite an avid sportsman. You've always been involved in sports.
Yeah.
You've chosen the right club, Manchester United. So now, I mean, okay, you can choose a multitude of arenas to pursue that passion. How did the Selangor women's football team come about? And what is it that you mentioned just now? It's a holistic development, but how did you even enter that foray as part of the women's football development?
Well, if I can go back a few steps earlier, because like I said, I built my own football club, which is FC SWAT. But actually, the idea started from my third brother. He is a professional futsal player. He's the captain of Kelantan team right now, playing in the Professional League Division 2.
Okay.
And we were teammates. We played together, and then he got frustrated with the football scene in Malaysia. He felt that we all are trying too much to chase glory. We should be doing the right thing, develop talents, and results can come later. We should be doing the right thing. So he wants to build a football club that he dreamed of. But he said, he came to me and he said, Abe, he calls me Abe, I need you to lead us. I think you will be the right person to lead us. So the idea originally didn't come from me. But since I said, okay, I want to help out my brother, I love his idea and vision, let's do this. So the first thing that we asked is that what kind of football club do we want to build? There were a lot of discussions, and one of it was, what should we name our football club? And there were discussions whether or not we should put the name of a place, like Shah Alam United, for example, something like that. And I said, I don't want to put a name of a place, because when people say you have to put a name of a place, so it's easy for you to get fans, to have an identity, to have that sense of belonging. And I said, Yeah, but if I put Shah Alam, then it means that only Shah Alam people will support me, right? So,
Okay.
so I want, can we have something more universal? So that's when one of my friend who is, I think he was from Petronas before, he worked for Petronas, and he said, let's name it SWAT, soccer with attitude. And I said, actually that's a terrible idea. Number one, it's not soccer. It's not soccer, it's football. Number two, SWAT. People will say that we are a team of police,
Special weapons and tactics.
But at that time I said, you know what? Let's just do it. Let's just put the name. We can always change the name later.
Okay.
But the idea must stay, which means we want this football represents that anybody who the identity is that anybody who believes that having the right attitude is the key to success. You are FC SWAT. It doesn't matter you are Chinese, Indians, or whatever race that you are from, whichever club you support, Manchester United, Chelsea. If you believe that attitude is the right way to go, you want to do the right thing, this is the club. We are not a big club. I don't think we will ever be bigger than Selangor. I don't think, but this is a club where any beginners, anybody who wants to do the right thing, anybody who wants to be heard, to be seen, to try to take risks, this is a safe club where the culture where we try to have a positive attitude, encouraging support. It's a family culture.
Wow.
So as the team progresses, and then came, I think, 2022 pandemic. So there was this one teacher, Cikgu Susana, together with her friend Felicia, was introduced to me, and they said there's a Selangor Women's League coming up. And we wanted to send a team. So the first question I asked both of them is that, are you looking for sponsors or are you looking to build a club? Because if you're looking for sponsors, I don't have money. But if you're looking to build a football club, I can help and guide you guys, but you guys have to lead it. Because women's football club must be led by women. No point if it's led by men. And it took them few days to think about it, and they came back to me and said, I want to do it. I want to build the football club. So it was a magical journey, because it was initially tough at first. Because all my other men coaches, my friends, the partners in the club, and said no to women's team, because they said it's tough enough to handle the men's now.
This is for SWAT itself.
With the resources that we have, we can't take another team. So it was a legit point, but deep in my gut, and I said, I think that's something that we can do here. And this is an opportunity that probably we shouldn't miss, because when prior to the building of football club, I actually asked my mom's friend to run through with us, because I have a lot of young members in the team. Let's do a strategic planning. Let's do a 5-year strategy. What kind of club do we want to be? So it's a corporate training.
This is with the Selangor women's.
No, this is with SWAT.
Okay.
And then so in 3 years' time, we already planned that we want to have a women's team. So I thought that this is the time that we want to have a women's team. Because at that time, one of the management said, I wish that we can support more women players. So and the magic goes through, because our first season in Selangor Women's League at that time with FC SWAT, it was so magical because we were considered the underdogs. No one knows us, and then we reached into the semi. We were our match was the first to be covered in Astro Arena. It gained attention because we beat UiTM. Everybody thought we were gonna be beaten by UiTM 3-4-0 because they are a big team. But we actually won 2-1. We were the only team that scored against Negeri Sembilan FC. But most of the people commented about how organized we look in the preparation of our team, and how much our team bonds and gels well with each other. That positivity, they felt it. We even had our boys team came and become the ultras, and I don't even pay them. People thought that we paid the boys to cheer for the girls. No, the boys came willingly because they see these women are fighting with passion. So they feel the pride of you are carrying our badge. So because of that, I would say magical journey. We lost in the semi-final. Selangor FC came and asked me, of course, because Cikgu Susana herself has been involved with Selangor FC for many years. So she actually also put up my name. She recommended me to Selangor FC, and Selangor FC approached me and said, I want you to do to Selangor FC Women like what you did to FC
What?
SWAT.
I see.
We love what you did there. So my first year as an assistant manager, I presented a 3 years roadmap to the CEO of Selangor FC, and I said that the idea is we want to build the first professional women's club in Malaysia. When we say professional, because my assessment was that most of the girls, if they play football now, nobody can say that they have a future. Because there is no career path for them to become a professional player. So a club as big as Selangor should strive to provide that career growth.
And are these girls players? Are they? I mean, are they still in school or have they left school? And
Many of them are still in schools, but many of them as well are working. And we had players. I think one of my team members, one of not in Selangor but in FC SWAT, the oldest was, I think that time was 39, 40.
39, 40.
Yeah. There are still players who are 36. There are mothers of 2 children still playing, and amazing passion. And amazing to me was because there are players who are willing to travel from Penang to Selangor weekly just to play the games.
Really?
Because this is how much they are passionate, because there are not enough games, there are not enough competitions. Now there are a lot more competitions than before back then. So I thought that it touches me because I see this passion.
Yeah.
But where are they going to go after that?
But see, this is the thing. I mean, this is obviously the backdrop to who you are, But this is something also that I'll be very honest, my own ignorance about not knowing the level and the status of women's football in our country. So again, I mean, just for me to imagine. So here you are, a corporate person. You talk about 3-year plans, and how do you bridge the mindset, the thinking, the philosophy? All due respect, because they're not corporate trained people, and that you want to ingrain certain philosophies and approaches which are maybe totally alien to them.
Yeah.
How do you? I mean, in reflection, what would you say are maybe 1 or 2 key pointers to really impact them in a different way?
One of the best lessons I learned from my mom, she gave me this quote, and I think this was a Confucius quote. She said, "The teacher will appear when the students are ready."
The teacher would appear when the students are ready.
The teacher will, meaning that if the students are not ready to listen, no matter what you teach, they won't listen. So that also is not just about knowing when to teach people different ways of doing things. It's also about having that patience and acceptance that I can try to talk you, I can try to show you different ways of doing things. But if you're not willing to listen to it, your loss is not my loss, right? It's okay. So I have that comfort where it's okay if you don't listen to me, because also at the same time I know I can be wrong too. So whenever I try to bring in this corporate philosophy, the governance structure into football, which is very alien to many, I got a lot of resistance.
I can imagine.
There were actually attempts to, I would say, slander, to a point of slander. There were a lot of gossips, to a point that it actually kind of affected me negatively. But luckily I have a good support system, not just my wife and my parents, but the coaches that I have, the people that I surround myself with, the players that actually when they say thank you and they appreciate it, this kind of thank yous actually kept me going. But I accepted that this change cannot happen in a year, and it cannot be done by me alone. I have so my motto is more about changing hearts one step at a time, one person at a time. So changing hearts one person at a time. So if I can just try to make one person to see why it has to be done differently. Because I think the problem with football in Malaysia is that we have a lot of passionate people. We just have I think we are not innovative enough. We are not progressing. We are not learning from deeply from how other countries do it. We probably see what happens on TV and we probably try to copy it. But the things that they do is actually there's a lot of why in it. There's a lot of more details in it. And as if you dig, that there are research papers available on Google. I think information's a lot nowadays. As technological advances, I think information you can just get like that. The problem with the today's skill is how to dissect which knowledge is the right knowledge, which knowledge is applicable, which one is not true. That's why there's a lot of we never had to fact check any news these days. Back then, these days there's even a Twitter page that says okay, sebab apa kalau tak pasti jangan kongsi. There's even a campaign for it. So yeah, that's why I think the transfer of ideology, it will always macam dalam agama pun lah aku macam I'm not really a religious person, pious person, but dakwah Nabi took forever.
Alhamdulillah.
And even when he passed away, Rasulullah passed away pun, he couldn't dakwah to everybody juga kan. So I start accepting that I can't control everyone. I can do my best. I can but I need to be comfortable that I can't change everyone.
But you feel inside you're doing something that's worthwhile.
Yes.
And I think this is where, sometimes we try to measure success of whatever we do by other people's standards. But the reality is that if we are comfortable, kita bersyukur that we are doing whatever we can, that in the time and the energy that Allah gives us, inshallah we'll feel that satisfaction. Now, I want to draw us back to how today I observe that there are many young corporate people just like yourself who are able to channel their energy and passion into so many things. In your case, it's around football, and I'm sure actually if we were to examine, I'm sure there are other things that you do, and I think this sort of creativity, ingenuity, I'm sure it translates into what you do even in your job. But maybe can I ask you, what's your view about how do people of your generation today, how do they do it? What is it about maybe the work style today that I'm not aware of that enables people to manage these parallel passions, I call it?
Well, I have this principle as well nowadays that I live by, self-made principle. I call it DIDC.
DIDC.
Okay,
Do
it, don't complain.
Do it, don't complain. Okay, all right.
I think we were chatting earlier about is it a culture that people now have side passions, side jobs to do, and was it not acceptable back then? And we were talking about how technological advances it saves a lot of time compared to before, where we do a lot of manual work. Now it can be automated, it can finish in 5 minutes, so we have more spare time, and then that's where the spare time is where we can start pursuing our passion projects. And but one thing as well, I think is important for everybody who wants to pursue a passion project to understand, it's your choice to pursue that passion. If it's tough, it's on you. You make that choice. You can quit, but if you choose to do it, don't complain. You choose, it's nama pun passion. But I also believe that passion is sometimes we think we like something, but I like what I think there was a quote by Elon Musk, if I'm not mistaken, it was Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos. I think sometimes passion, because a lot of people came to me and said, you are lucky you found your passion. To be honest, I find it funny because I said I didn't find it. I think you will find your passion sometimes as you do something and you get better and you got so good at it, and you start enjoying doing it, and suddenly this is where you feel this is my passion.
Okay.
So I think this is where this is one of the biggest lessons, and as I reflect back in my life, this was one of the best lessons I learned from my dad. Because every time, sometimes when I ask my dad, what do you think? Should I do this? And he said, if it doesn't kill you, do it.
If it doesn't kill you, just do it.
And at that time when he said that, I was like, why you don't care? I need some better advice. You don't care, but he wants me to go and experience it. And I think the key is just do it. Don't overthink too much. Of course, you need to think a little bit about the pros and cons. If it's bad, don't do it, right? But sometimes we like to overthink, and our pressure and our stress comes from the inability to do it. The lack of movement. Sometimes you just do it, and then probably you will find that sweet spot where I think I can be good at this. Because I met so many of my friends, and especially Kelantanese high school friends. They are brilliant business people. I think Kelantanese are being known to be brilliant business people.
Yeah.
And some of them had multiple businesses. So can I say that their passion is butik tudung? No, dia ada lebih pada butik tudung. And then I asked him, what's your passion actually? My passion is developing people. With more companies, I can develop more people. So he finds joy in developing people. And the reason, and people are mistaken, my passion is football. It's not football. I love football so much, but it's not like I'm gonna dive. I don't have football. It's not. I'm gonna be totally different. But same. I love giving back to. I love giving back to people.
And you see outcomes where, people are happier and people are more fulfilled at what they do. God,
Yeah. Not necessarily happier, but if that person, if I can even help that person to realize something that probably they tak realize, and then whether or not they thank me or not, whether or not they should, because sometimes there are times when I help people where I'm not supposed to help, or I cross the lines that I shouldn't cross. So this is where I feel that it's just about giving back. Doesn't matter whether they take it or not. It's just about giving back. I'm not asking for anything in return. All I'm asking is that pass it forward, pass it to somebody else. Because one of the reasons I was involved in football was I asked this question: if I die tomorrow, who's going to teach my son about integrity, about hard work, about teamwork, about speaking honestly? So, and because I had that benefit from my dad, because my dad has helped a lot of people in the past, and then that person helped me without even my dad knowing. And she said, there was this one instance. She said, I gave you this break because your dad gave me the break.
MashaAllah.
And I said, this is where the multiplier values come. So I want to help the next generation so that one day if I pass away, they can pass it to my son when I'm not around.
Yes, mashallah. And there's another point that I quite admire. You have a corporate employer who respects its people, its members of the organization who are talented like you. I mean, with all due respect, we are hosting this interview late in the evening because we obviously do not want to, take you away from your professional corporate working hours. But I understand, recently you were a recipient of a special award by Saim Dhabi.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I think this is the thing. If corporates value and recognize talent and trust that you are just as committed in your role with them, I think it will nurture a lot more productivity, a lot more talent, and encourage people to be better at what they do, irrespective of the arena that they are in. Because I foresee someone like you, Izzat, inshallah, you're still so young. One day you're going to rise even further. You are rising in your corporate career, and you become an example for those who look up at you and say, wow, if Izzat is someone that I can emulate in terms of my broader abilities, especially being that type of corporate leader, mashallah, it's such an inspiration. So I think I'd like to mention congratulations to Saim Dhabi. And I know even prior to this, even the other corporations that you were with, they knew of this of you, and they respected that you are someone that they value in and outside the workplace.
Thank you.
What's your advice, actually? Maybe I should ask it. What's your advice to others who maybe are on the border, contemplating? Maybe they are fighting even boredom in their professional careers. They don't want to leave their professional careers, but they say that, look, how can I invigorate my life even further, just like you, maybe you are?
Well, first of all, I think my first advice would be don't emulate me, be better than me, because
Okay.
I think I'm not perfect as well, right? But I think the key is to always try to be better with each other. But the advice, this is always something that I always try to tell people, is that to serve a purpose, right? To serve a purpose, because if you work within the limitations of your KPIs or what your company does, you will eventually get bored, because at the end of the day, business is business. You will probably do the same thing if you don't innovate. And what's the reason why would you want to innovate? Because you want to serve a purpose. You want something to be better, you want something to be faster, you want to add value. So serve purpose, whatever the purpose is, but have a purpose rather than I'm just gonna get my salary and get my KPI. So if you decided to pursue a passion project, have a purpose as well. Don't just do it. I just want to open a t-shirt business because I see my friend does it. That's not a purpose. That's just you trying to fill in the gaps. If you have a purpose, you will be driven by it. There were many times that I feel like I want to quit this football club. I want to quit whatever I'm doing in football because of the resistance that I face, because of of course there were losses, there were arguments, there were fights. But what kept me going was my purpose, because my purpose was to give back as much. So selagi as long as I have the will, I have the strength to feel like I'm giving back and giving back positively, I'm gonna keep going. And I know the moment when I start being negative, I'll pull back and retreat. Just sometimes boredom is good as well. It makes
spurs you on to break that boredom code, eh?
Yeah, I think being bored is good. Sometimes I think these days people want to get entertained all the time.
On a high all the time.
Yeah, they want instant contents all the time. That's why it's on demand. Videos on demand. Everything is on demand. I think it's good to be bored sometimes. Just and jadi orang kata apa mak jenin, just fantasize, because I think a lot of people lack imagination these days, lack of dreams because of all these realities of life. So they're afraid to dream. I think don't be afraid to dream, just go on. I decided to go all the way with this football because I was so inspired by Sir Alex Ferguson. I wanted to become the Manchester United manager.
Wow.
So that's my ultimate dream. I don't know if I get that, but I will set that. I will put that.
Yeah. And I think there's another plus point, because your wife, she's also a professional working lady.
Yeah.
So and you're raising your son, and I think it's 5, 6 years old now. So I mean that is the other part of it also. It's not so much as leaving one for the other, but even balancing that, being a father, being a husband, and raising your son. And I'm sure that you have other children, but I think having these multiple dimensions in life keeps you on your toes.
Yeah.
Continues to inspire you to excel.
Yeah.
Kan? And inshallah, may Allah continue to grant you strength of iman and of course energy and kederat lah kita panggil, And I'm sure that in years to come, if ever we were to ever invite you again onto Cuba Cerita, wow, please don't forget us lah.
No.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for actually having me.
Izzat, I think this type of sessions are very meaningful because, as I said, there are many out there who are also excelling. And they will continue to excel, but there are also others who aspire to to do even better than what they are. And it's relative. There's no one particular measure. So I thank you so much for sharing this. I know that it took a while to have you
Yeah.
because you've been so busy. We wish you all the best for the coming season.
Yes, thank
with the
you.
with the ladies football team, and and semoga usaha Izzat akan membawa hasilnya.
InsyaAllah.
And of course to the young ladies in the team, we wish them all the best. And inshallah, we look forward to seeing progress in women's football in this particular area now that we know more about it.
Yeah,
Okay.
insyaAllah. Yeah.
So, thank you once again for
you.
joining us on this episode of Cuba Cerita. I like it because, these are learning points for me too as a coach about today's generation, what inspires them, and hopefully, all of us will benefit from this. So please continue to support us. We look forward to having you again and again. If there's an opportunity for you to suggest any guests that would fit this type of theme or what's your why, please drop a comment in our box, and inshallah, kalau ada rezeki, we'll try to invite them aboard. So to our next episode, have a good rest of this week, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Sekian, Assalamualaikum, salam sejahtera, and have a good week ahead.